anyways.
But is that statistic, you know, of people who won't buy it because it's unremovable, these geeks, is that big enough for the company?
And the problem is it isn't. The average end user doesn't realize it's a problem until their geeky nephew or cousin or brother-in-law points out to them how they're being screwed. The average end user doesn't care. It's the same thing. You know, think of how many people will go out and buy an Acer computer because it's that much cheaper. And they don't realize that...
You can remove everything on it, though, right?
Well, okay, you can remove all the trial software. But let me give you an example of something Acer does that will drive some people nuts, especially in a work environment. Acer installs their own proprietary network and battery management tools, and basically it's part of the driver. Which means unless you completely rebuild that computer with a fresh Windows disk and go track down all the drivers, in some cases, which is in some cases it's difficult to do on certain Acer models, you can't use the standard Windows network management tools and yada yada and so forth, which can cause conflicts and problems. You have to use the little Acer one.
I mean, does Linux work on those laptops?
Yes. But again, I'm talking about like a work environment where you can't necessarily put everything on Linux and yada yada.
I know, but I'm like, if they have the drivers so that specifically, you know, why would you have to? Doesn't like Windows automatically get the drivers from the internet? Yeah,
but in the case of those computers, what it usually winds up doing is automatically going and getting the Acer driver.
All right.
Basically, you have to work around. You have to go, okay, I don't want you to install this as Acer card X. I want you to install it as chipset card X, and use the standard thing. And it's not stuff like on certain computers where they've added functionality. They've tried to dumb it down for grandma, and as a result certain options just aren't there. Like, I'll give you an example. On an Acer computer, you'll go into the power management things to set, like when I press the power button, hibernate and other things like that, and when you try and save it, it'll go, oh, I'm sorry, you must use the Acer tools and all of that stuff. They said no, don't go here, go there. And any option we didn't put there, well, you just can't do on this computer. Without completely redoing this computer. And that's where, in some ways, if we're not careful, Android will go. And I don't see the end user making enough of a stink about it.
Well, I mean, Google's a smart company. I mean, they said one of the reasons they made the Nexus One was to, you know, fuel, you know, Android advancement, you know, get people to start making really, really good phones for it. And they say it worked, you know, they say that because of the Nexus One, a lot of companies started making really awesome phones. Yeah,
well, the companies are sort of making awesome phones, but some of the best features of Android, I don't think are ever going to see the end user.
Well, I'm saying that if Google sees Android becoming, you know, what Google doesn't want it to be, it might create a Nexus 2 for that reason.
Yeah, but if they're not going to... Here's the thing. For that to have the effect they want, they have to follow through. Or they have to delegate that to a manufacturer who's going to follow through. Because what will happen is everybody will play nice enough, just long enough, and just nice enough to make Google give up on the phone. And then they'll go back to business as usual. I mean, it's like we see that now in the handsets that are happening now. They brought things up, and now they're going back to business as usual. And the other thing is, you have companies like HTC, and this is another story. So for those of you who don't know, like one of the things HTC is trying to push is Sense UI.
Well, I mean, I don't mind that.
Oh no, I don't mind that, but it's like their priority is not to make a good Android device. Their priority is to get people used to Sense UI.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just part of branding. You know, it's just part of, you know, you're using an HTC phone, and if you like HTC phones, you'll always get this, because, you know, that's something that other companies can't do. They could put all the things that HTC does with Android, because Android's open, but they can't put Sense UI on it, right? You know, Motorola can't make a phone with Sense UI.
They can make something close, but yeah, no, they can't make a Sense UI phone. But
so, you know, well, so a lot of people are saying that they want Android to use one UI. I don't agree.
I don't so much mind that, but that's just one of the things. It's like it's taking Android its best, and it's one of those things. Android being the best operating system it's capable of being, and what the cell phone carriers want are incompatible. Android being the best operating system it's capable of being, and certain side projects of certain OEMs are incompatible. One of the things that HTC is all about right now, especially with Sense UI, is they don't want there to be a difference as far as end user experience, which I don't necessarily disagree with, but it's one of those things that I ultimately see confusing grandma in the long run, because grandma won't get it. Well, let's think about it. If 2 or 3 years from now you pick up a Windows Phone 7 phone and an Android phone, and at first glance you're messing around with everything until you actually screw around with it for 60 days and go try and install this app, and this app isn't here, but this app is here, and this app is here, and that app is there, you can't tell the difference between them at first pickup. That's one of the things HTC is trying to do, which I don't necessarily disagree with. But it's one of those things that'll be confusing as hell to the end user.
I can see
that. Because they're going to be putting an identical Sense UI on all their Windows Phone 7 phones. So at first glance, you're going to pick up this Windows Phone 7, like Phone X-W7 and Phone XX, you know, whatever they call the Android model. You know, 2 identical phones, identical size, and they'll look identical. And depending how they're priced, what kind of bait and switch the carrier's doing and everything else, Grandma's going to look at these and go, "What's the difference?" And she's not going to get it. I was like, well, the difference is the one on the left, Windows Phone, has no copy and paste, no multitasking. What else is Windows Phone 7 missing? I talked about this sometime. The list.
Wait. It doesn't have multitasking?
Nope.
Like, what do you mean?
It doesn't have multitasking. It's basically iPhone 1.0. No multitasking, no third party.
No third-party multitasking, but it can do some apps that they allow multitasking, or no?
If Microsoft wrote them.
Okay, well, that's not totally not multitasking. It still sucks, and I think that.
Well, it's one of the #1 complaints about developers. Developers are having about Phone 7. It's like, you know, even Apple decided they'll have multitasking now. Microsoft, it's like, and you're not going to have copy and paste, and you're not. It's like Windows Phone 7, the OS that doesn't.
It's less impressive than the Kin.
It's the Kin Lite. Windows Phone 7, less impressive than the Kin. We all saw how well that did.
Wow. And that sucks. I mean, I would like Windows to stay in the market just because they're a big company and sometimes they do stuff that...
I would like them to stay in the market if for no other reason than the more competition we have, the more people squabbling with each other, the better it is for all of us, the end user.
Same, and I think that Microsoft makes some good products, some of it.
Oh my God, James is possessed! Call the exorcist! No, I'm just kidding, y'all.
Well, I mean, I personally think that that Microsoft Word, at least from when I used it, which was about 2 years ago.
No, Word's still great. The only thing I don't like about Word is their drive to get rid of the menu bar.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that I think that, I mean, I can use OpenOffice, but I think that it's a better program than OpenOffice, and I do like it.
No, so, and Word is actually a lot better if you're doing certain database management and other things like that, especially the way Excel works with those things.